Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are going over how to winterize your travel trailer slash RV. So this is something that I needed to get done. Believe it or not, it is almost mid-January and we have not even had freezing temperatures yet, but we're going to be hitting some cold numbers. So not as bad as usual for this time of year, but still to the point where we're like, all right, better get this thing winterized and ready to go. So as you can see, I got my tools out that I am going to be using for this process. You are looking at, if you have an technician, auto mechanic, somebody come out and actually do this for you, prices are going to be somewhere around $85 to $150. And really, you can do this for much cheaper than that. You're looking at getting antifreeze, RV, marine antifreeze, $5. The tool that I use, which you will also use for filling your tires, checking your pressures, all that stuff, I got this for, I believe, $60 on Amazon. I'm going to list the products that I use for this in the description as well so you guys have it. But this is what we're going to use to actually blow out the water lines so that we do not actually have any freezing issues. This here, I believe I got for $5. I'll link this as well. This is just a plastic connection that's going to connect into where you're going to basically run your water line from when you're camping. So this connects into your water line, threads in, and then your compressor connects to here. And we're going to blow out the line with that. I also grabbed some more RV toilet treatment, so this is going to be sitting a while. I'm going to throw a little extra in just to make sure that as far as the way the trailer smells, I want to come back and have it smelling nice. So getting a little extra in the tank. I'm just doing that really just for my own peace of mind. You will also need a socket that will be big enough to remove your heater core. So your hot water tank will have a core in it, and that core needs to come out in order to drain your water core. Mine is a 27 socket, so I have that, and then the only thing I have with me is a breaker bar for fitting this. I keep this on the rig at all times. That's the 1/2-inch size connection that I need for actually connecting to this. It should not need a breaker bar to break this open. You want to be careful. You don't want to mess up your heater core. So if you're using something like a breaker bar, be careful. But that's what we'll be using today. And other than that, that's really all the tools you need. So once you've purchased this is the most expensive piece. It's $65. You really don't have a lot of other expenses. Really, you're looking at $5 a year in this. You should already have this. You know, these you're going to replace regardless all the time, but you're looking at less than $10 to do this every year versus paying somebody $100, $150, and then also bringing your trailer to wherever you need to go to get it serviced. Or if you're having a technician come out to you, they're probably going to charge you a premium to come out your way as well. So this is a way more cost-effective means of getting this done, and with that, let's get into it.
Now, just with anything, you should be checking with your manufacturer, going over your warranties and all your paperwork that came with the model for your trailer or your RV, making sure that you're following their recommended guides. Now, the steps we are going to take to get this winterized for winter is first we're going to make sure all of our tanks are empty, so our black, gray, and freshwater tanks are empty, so making sure those valves are opened and cleaned out. The other steps we're going to take is going to be pushing any water that is left in our water pump out of our water pump. And after we get our water pump emptied, we are going to make sure that we are emptying every valve and line that is in this trailer that has water in it. So the outside shower, the sink, the bathroom, the toilet bowl, the shower, all those areas are going to make sure that we get all the water out of them. So we're going to go through the process of getting all those cleared. And then on top of that, we also need to clear and isolate the hot water tank.
Now, one of the first things we're going to do here is make sure that all of our tanks have been emptied. We've already emptied our black and gray water tanks the last time we went camping. So we're just going to come to our freshwater tank, and we're going to make sure that we get all the water out of there. So that'll be the first thing we open. Now, you're also going to have lines on the outside for your water lines for your hot and cold, and those also need to be drained. So we're going to make sure that we open those up as well. And probably next year I'm going to put some quick fittings on these because that would make that a lot better. All right.
Now your water pump is going to have a little bit of water in it as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear that little bit of water out of the water pump. We don't want that freezing. Replacing a water pump would not be fun. So we're going to start with that. So I'm just going to come over here to here and go to the water. And you don't want to run this too long because you don't have water actually going to it, just long enough where you know you've kind of cleared your system a little bit. All right, so where we're going to be working from is right out of our city water connection. So you're going to be taking your little blowout, Camco blowout tool. This one is just made out of plastic, really simple. And this is going to thread right on here. You know, when I was looking at this, it came with all sorts of different material. You could get plastic, brass, metals. I went with the plastic because there's nothing about this that I should be using so much force that I'm going to ruin this or need this to be stronger than plastic. So I didn't want to mess up my threads. I wanted to keep plastic to plastic, and it was like $5. So really cheap part, but just make sure you take care of it. Now, when you are blowing this out, you want to make sure you're using an oilless compressor. So this is a cordless inflator, 20 volt. Can do well more than the pressure we need. All the lines that are inside this, you don't want to pressurize more than 50 or so psi. So we're going to be pressurizing this up to 30 psi to blow the lines out. What you're worried about is all those connections and fittings. They're only rated to so much psi. So they should be good for around 50 or 60 psi. We don't want to take any chances, so we're going to inflate this to 30 psi. This compressor has two ways of filling up. So I have a rechargeable battery, which is kind of cool because I can just plug this in. This actually was dead today, so we're actually not using the rechargeable battery today. So what we're going with instead is it does come with your typical car adapter. And where I am located, because we have our trailer stored right now, I don't have good access to getting to my truck and running this to it. So one of the tools that I have from camping is one of these jackeries. These work really well. And it's got a car port on it as well. Get our power to it. And then this is going to connect just like you would onto a tire. Lock it in place. I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to bring it up to 30 psi. So we're already at 36. Let's bring it down a bit. And just squeeze the trigger. We're going to lock that in place. All right, let's go inside and I'll show you the next step on what we're going to do. All right, so anywhere that has a drain is where we're basically going to be making sure we're draining. So I'm going to open this. That relieves the pressure in here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to reopen or restart that pressure on the line. All right, make sure this is set to our 30 psi. It is. Now, with that one line open, I'm going to let this run and just let it clear out the line. So we can go back in. So as you can see, the air is pressurizing the line enough and it's pulling all the water out of this line. So I always do one line at a time. So we have here in the bathroom that we're going to be working on, but we're just running that water right out of the lines with the air pressure. And I'm just going to let this go until all that water stops coming out of those lines. This is our outdoor shower line, so we'll make sure that this gets cleared as well. So you're always going to start with your hot water and then run your air pressure through that and then do your cold as well. And then I'll just leave both of them open so that both lines are open. Now the other part that we're going to be dealing with here is going to be hot water tank. And that's going to be behind this right here. So usually you're going to find it, ours is right underneath the kitchen, so right by the kitchen sink. And this you need to make sure you have all set up. I've already pulled our core out, and as you can see on this core, you'll see that it's kind of breaking down over time. So that is normal. So this is meant to do that. So as the time goes by, you're going to see this more and more erode like this, and then once you get to nothing left, you replace this core. So this is after one season of camping. We still have a ton of this core left. So anyhow, this core was right in here, threaded in. And so in order to be able to make sure everything's okay, we pull this core out and that gets placed there. Now before you do that, if this was normally filled and you had hot water in here, you want to make sure that you do the pressure relief, which is right here, and you would pull that. And be careful if you've been running hot water out of here or anything like that, you don't want to burn yourself. So you're going to use this little pressure relief, get all the hot water out. Once the hot water is done coming out, as far as the pressure that's on the system, you would open right down here where this core is. It's going in right here. But just be careful, don't burn yourself or anything like that. Once this core is out, you want to isolate your hot water lines, your hot water tank lines. So ours was behind this panel. I actually had to remove some screws to get to it. And as you can see, you have two lines here. If I do this, that's in line with the hot water tank, which we don't want because we want to isolate it. So we're actually going to put it in line with the two lines, which means it's bypassing the hot water tank. And same thing with down here. So in line with this, in line here, these are now bypassing the hot water tank, which is exactly what we want to do because we're isolating that tank and we're getting all that water out of it. So once that's done, we have no more water. We're going to switch to the other sink here. So as you can see, getting a little bit of water out of here, but not much. We're also making sure our shower line is clear as well. So let's go back to this heater core rod. So this is an Anode Rod. And typically these are going to last 1 to 3 years depending on how much camping you're doing. So as you can see, the corrosion is breaking down. What this is doing is instead of corroding your tank, this is what corrodes. So it's meant to do that over time. And knowing that your Anode Rod is working correctly means that this is going to be corroding and not your tank. So that's what you want to see on this. First time I saw it, I was like, what is going on here? So I had to go look it up and find out why it was doing that. So ours has plenty of life left. You're looking at about 25% of this rod is when you would want to replace it. And when ours finally gets to that point, I'll do an updated video and make sure you guys can see what that looks like. I also prefer to leave the Anode Rod core out. And so what I'm going to be doing, since I don't want to leave a place for bugs to get in, I'm sticking a paper towel just right in that hole to fill it up, but that'll still allow any kind of water or anything that needs to come out of there to still be able to drain out of there. While we're still waiting for those lines to finish up, I'm just going to dump this in the black tank. And that way, one more step done and ready to go. Once we know we've gotten all the water out of the lines as much as we can, we're going to leave all these open as well. So that way anything that has anything in there has a way to get out, but we're keeping all the lines open. So your toilet will have a small amount of water behind it. So in order to get around that, all you're going to do is you're going to open this and hold it for a second. You're good to go. We already put the treatment in there earlier. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to leave a little bit of antifreeze at the bottom of the toilet here. That seal is meant to stay wet, so I want to make sure I keep it wet because I don't ever want that seal cracking and then having smells coming up from our black tank. Yeah, that should be plenty. Now there's no way that you're going to get all the water out of all parts of the trailer. So some of the areas that you're going to have to worry about protecting are going to be what you call P-trap, which is right here. So as you can see, the sink drains down into this P-trap and makes a little U and then comes up. So water is always going to be stuck in between right here. So what we're going to want to make sure to do is to put some RV antifreeze in that line so that way we're not worrying about that freezing and expanding. So take our RV antifreeze, straight in it goes. That should be plenty. We're going to do the same in the shower as well, shower drain as well. Not really worried about how this looks. We'll clean it up on our first day back to camping. And we're going to do the same in the kitchen sink. Now everywhere that we can control with any kind of line has been protected. Now once all your lines are bled and everything has been pretty much finished that you're ready for winterizing and leaving, just do a good thorough walk around your trailer. Make sure there's nothing you missed, anything that you're seeing that may need to be replaced or fixed. This is a good time to just check those things out. Getting underneath your underbody, ours is insulated for cold weather as well. And I'm just checking and making sure I don't see anything anywhere that needs my attention or repair or something that's going to be worrisome in the future. Making sure my doors are locked so no one's getting into the camper while it's stored. Making sure my battery is turned off. Now with our batteries, we have a solar panel on the top, so I don't need to disconnect my batteries. I'll be actually keeping those on just like that all winter because they are recharging. Propane tanks. Making sure propane is off. I already have my cover, my hitch cover, hitch control, and just making sure that we are looking okay. This could be a little more organized. I might clean that up a little bit before we leave. That's kind of looking messy. We're secured. Now this is our fridge. And just taking a look, making sure everything looks clean. This is a pretty popular place for rodents to get into. So just making sure everything looks okay. Everything looks great. All right, well that about does getting your RV travel trailer ready for winterization. Pretty simple, straightforward, not too complicated. There are other ways to do this. You can also pump antifreeze into your water lines to protect it even more. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we get just below freezing and not for very long. So getting all the water out of the the water out of the lines with just pushing air through it and making sure those smaller lines are not going to expand with freezing water. I feel pretty confident just keeping it to the simplest way of doing that, which is what we did today. So with that being said, a couple of things to keep in mind. Like we talked about, this is going to be your little connector to your water lines. Making sure that you thread this correctly. It is plastic, so just be careful when you're threading this on that you're not breaking anything. You're connecting to, this is your little blow port for your little air compressor or whatever you're using. You don't want to use a pancake compressor that's got any kind of oil in it. So this is a air compressor, oilless, nothing that's going to put oil into your water lines. This is stuff you're drinking out of, and you just don't want that stuff in your water lines. So have this linked in the description as well, and hope this helped getting you guys ready for winter. And until next time, keep exploring. We'll talk soon.